Well, welcome back everyone. I'm Aaron. This is Gideon's Tactical. And this is a box I just got from Amazon that we're gonna pop open that contains $175 worth of a complete everyday carry system. Now, with full transparency, I actually had 2 Amazon packages arrive, but just for the ease of filming and I'm not juggling 2 packages, I opened up one, threw the other one in, but these are all unopened, unused items, including a watch. Ooh, I like that. Pocket knife, that looks fun. Wallet, get that all in there, empty out my current wallet. We got a compact multi-tool. I'm looking forward to this. A lot of you guys have been recommending this model to me. And a flashlight, already using that pocket knife. Ah, yes. Man, that's quite a bit of gear for a $175 budget. Now, February 1st, 2023, and for the next 2 weeks, I'm committing to exclusively use these tools as my on-body everyday carry system. Well, it is February 2nd. Got all the gear all loaded up. Doing some volunteer projects, buildings and grounds related stuff at the church today. I was able to put in a bunch of ceiling tiles over the sprinkler system. It is day 7 and just out and about for the day. Going to get the kids' favorite food, favorite meal, and rocking the full load up. Running around today on the 8th. Got the Streamlight, got the SOG. So still going strong. Digging it. So it's the 9th. Installing a bunch of new carpet into an elevator. Using the multi-tool a little bit more today, just with different activities I gotta do. Out for a day hike, gotta use Casio illuminator. Been on my watch, or on my wrist for 13 days, exactly. Gotta let it go for about 10 minutes. Tommy the trail dog hanging out. Beautiful spot. Well guys, it's official. I have had these items for 21 days, used them daily since I first strapped this watch on and carried all this gear through all kinds of different scenarios. And as I begin to unpack each item for you, showing you the things I like and some of the things I don't, I also want to give you an idea of like, why did I choose these? Because I paid $175 total, but there are hundreds of wallets and flashlights and watches and pocket knives and multi-tools that you can go with. But there was kind of an idea for me of like, what is going to be the focus of this system? And I wanted to focus more on the concept of these being more hard use tools that are designed more for durability than say style and fidget friendliness. And how hard could they be used? Are they maybe more set up slightly for a defensive role? You're just outside kind of in the grit a lot more than someone that maybe works in an office. So if you like this concept, let me know and I will do more videos like this with different price points and different ideas, maybe focused on a ultralight, like office friendly EDC setup. But this is more of that kind of nitty gritty, you know, getting into it type of setup. And so I wanted to go first off, and we're gonna look at this multi-tool because I am stunned. Before this Power Pint multi-tool, I was unimpressed with every SOG multi-tool I had ever gotten my hands on, given several of them poor reviews. I think this is actually like the big brother, kind of in the same profile, just larger, that I did a while back. Stuff is loose on it, the grind is terrible on the blade. I just wasn't impressed, and there are many others that I just haven't been impressed by. But I've heard so many good things about this little Power Pint. I was like, let's try something different. Let's just see, you know, fingers crossed. A lot of you guys were giving me good feedback, and I appreciate that. And guys, now using it quite a bit, I'm impressed with the layout. It's not perfect. There are a few little wonky things. Opens up. These pliers I was really impressed with. Not only were the needle nose lined up well, I was able to pull out nails easily with these, really torquing on them and didn't see any disalignment throughout the process. And then able to grab your average size bolts. I mean, this is an on-body compact multi-tool. It's definitely not, you know, like a heavy duty one, but I could hold bolts easily and unscrew them or tighten them down. And then those cutters I was really pleased with, able to go through all of that with no real issue. And those gears are supposed to give you more pressure per square inch than a generic model would, you know, like doubling the cutting pressure. And I did notice that. I felt like it was kind of gimmicky on other models, and I was able to get it wide enough to get through anything that this type of multi-tool would be able to handle in wire, and then cut right through that. It's able to hold those 1/4 inch bits, and that I didn't have any sort of flexing or skipping, and that worked really well. Now there's a positive and negative to the tools. On the exterior, you can access all the tools. That is great, so you don't have to open it up to get to them. The kind of downside is it has a lock back design, so it'll be nice and all the tools lock, but you have to open up the multi-tool to disengage the lock. So you kind of got this back and forth design, but I'd rather have the locking mechanism and that style than any other. So we got serrated, about 2 1/4 inch blade, works excellent. I was very happy with the serrations and went through all types of different material. But then, as you can see there, ergonomic, fills out my hand, can easily use it. I like that. But then I have to open the tool to then disengage the lock and close it back up. So that's the only kind of like, I wish there was like some other way, but it's just the way it's designed. Then you have a can opener that does have a nice sharp edge on one side. You could use that to kind of pop out other things, you know, whatever it may be. Then I was actually not expecting a lot out of this little Phillips head driver. And it actually goes about center. It almost is like a center drive on a Gerber. And it's pretty narrow, but I was able to use every type of screw in my house, testing it on different items, and I was able to screw in and back off with almost zero skipping. I think one style of screw maybe skipped every once in a while, but didn't mar either the bit or the screw itself. I didn't damage and ruin its ability to be used. So that I was super pleased with, and actually really surprised. I was like, how is this gonna be able to do what needs to be done? But it got it done. And just so I don't know, hopefully you guys can see that. It has bronze washers in between each tool. So I mean, that's an extra bonus, just showing there's a level of durability I was just not expecting. Then next up, there are a few tools I was kind of like, I mean, it's almost like taking up space. They probably could have slimmed down 2 pieces of this and made it even a little bit slimmer. It has a bottle opener, but I could have used the can opener to basically do the same thing. And then there's just like this little tiny tab button that you could possibly maybe use to break down some firearms, things like that. But I feel like maybe a flathead would have been a little bit more ideal in that scenario. Then to the scissors, which are the one attribute I'm just kind of like, I mean, you can open them a little bit in, I mean, some paper and very thin string, maybe like fishing line if you're a fisherman, you know, those type of things it'll absolutely do, and they are spring loaded. But if I really push them when I'm closing them, I can have them bypass each other, which I didn't really like, and then you gotta kind of like mess with it and flex it open again. And that's as wide as they're gonna open. So I had a really difficult time even getting like a piece of paracord in there to cut. And so I just was kind of disappointed in their performance, and I don't usually use them for that reason. Then on the flip side, we have a 3-sided file that works excellent and can get a pretty good notch going for you. So if you were having to do something that required a lot of notching, the bottom side isn't as proficient as an actual dedicated wood saw, but is pretty close. Followed up by a safety cutter that is very sharp, just zipped right through the material I used it on. Followed up by a really nice, precise flathead that again kind of runs almost center line there, giving you the best amount of lineup for the screw. And it's pretty long, so you can really get into fine areas to use that flathead. Followed up by a really nice sharp awl with 2 holes in it, and a 2 1/4 inch Warrenclyffe full flat grind blade that slices really well. Some body measurement marks that are totally bogus. I wouldn't try to measure anything with that. And since it's made out of 5 CR steel, it's gonna hold up better than some other budget multi-tools that may be out there. Not much torque there, so good tightness. And really, if there was one thing lacking, it goes back to that bottle cap opener. There isn't a wide, broad flathead. And I found that there are 1 or 2 times where I've wanted to use a wide, broad flathead that just doesn't really work. And if they had put that on that bottle lifter, it probably would have made more sense than whatever that little tab that they did there. And there's no other real tool that helps you access bigger gapped flathead screws. But overall, very impressed, and I will be using this on a regular basis, and you will be seeing this in other EDC videos down the line. And the SOG was $50 when I purchased the model. If you're enjoying the content in this video, I invite you to subscribe, become part of the Gideon's Tactical family, hit that like button, but make sure to hit the bell icon so that you can be notified week in and week out when I put up new content breaking down new gear as well as concept videos just like this. And guys, throughout the video, I will have links over to my Gideon's Tactical Amazon store where you can not only see the items that we're testing and using today, but lots of other gear that I regularly use. And I do appreciate it if items, regardless of stuff we're looking at today or just in general, make sense for you. When you use those hyperlinks, it's free for you and helps me continue to make content just like this. How about this wallet? This is a nylon Chums wallet. It can handle quite a few cards. I've actually had this in the past and I really enjoy it. What I like is that it does have the window for your ID and you can get several cards in there. It has two zipper pockets that I've always found were easy to access, one on the back side, and one on the front with a divider for the plastic screen there so you can put an ID, and then the back for more cards. But then a third non-zipped sleeve for like cash or other items that you just get in and out a lot that you maybe don't want to fumble with zippers. And underneath in that same pocket does have a backup tether with a key ring so you could put a spare house key or something like that, or attach to your person if that was important to you. Or what I normally do is I would remove this and then just stuff that little nylon tab down there. Thin ripstop nylon is durable, but not going to take up extra space with the materials of the wallet itself. Now I paid about $12 for this particular model. They have lots of different colors and options that are available, and even slimmer or larger versions. What I like about this, going in that vein of like hard use and those type of ideas, is that it has those two zipper pockets so that you're less likely to lose important credit cards or ID, particularly if you have maybe multiple IDs for like your job, or maybe you have a backup like you have your CCW with you, things like that that would be a headache to try and replace. You're not gonna accidentally lose them out of a like open face mouth wallet, but it also keeps out gunk, grime, and sweat, unlike a lot of leather or just open nylon wallets do. Now the pocket knife is the foundation to any EDC system. Now, keeping with that idea of being like a hard use, possibly defensive role pocket knife, and keeping in that budget, I thought of the Kershaw Emerson collaboration CQC series, this one being the CQC 4 with about a 3-inch blade, G10 handles, frame lock design. I've used several of these in the past and I wanted to try out this model, and it's worked really well for that idea. Now first, obviously strength. This is rock solid. I have 0 play up and down and 0 left and right because of that frame lock hitting about 80% of the back spine. And then it does have not only the disc plate right there that you can easily flick open without even flicking your wrist, boom, right there, but also the Emerson Wave, meaning that it's not only ambidextrous with swappable pocket clip, but you can deploy it out of your pocket if you want to, and so it's ready to be used as soon as it comes out of the pocket. And the G10 handles lock me in perfectly. That 3-inch blade with a spear point hollow grind. I think it's about like 0.13, if I remember correctly, on the thickness. Good tapering, piercing tip. But the hollow grind, because it's a spear point, I mean, it's definitely designed for that stabbing and piercing defensive role first. It can do some pretty good slicing, though obviously like a full flat, wide, broad blade will be better suited for that. It's definitely that more hard use, piercing, stabbing, slashing role is what it's really intended for first off. And then secondary would be like going through tons of cardboard and, going through food and making a sandwich for yourself, those type of things. The blade would be, other blades would be better suited for that. High ride, so it's easy to pull out for that Emerson Wave to be activated. A cool touch is that this has flat head near the pivot, for the pivot, and then Phillips screws everywhere else, even on the pocket clip. So you can actually use the SOG Phillips head driver to maintain, tune up. I kind of played with the pivot a little bit. I found that one screw was a little bit loose, so I was able to torque that down, no problem, without having to go find some sort of torque driver and bit. So you can maintain your EDC system with the tools in your EDC system. So I love that attribute. Now, Of course, it's not all, you know, unicorns and rainbows. This cost me about $42. It's made in China out of 8CR14 MOV steel for this particular model. So it's very easy to get a razor sharp edge on, but it dulls out pretty quick on me, and I've had to tune it up in these 3 weeks about 3 times. About once a week, I find myself just putting on a ceramic rod real quick and, you know, tuning up the edge. But for about 50 bucks or less, there's lots of different blade shapes and profiles and different sizes. And they do have a few models like this enlarged version. It's literally the same profile, just bigger in D2. And I know this one's going for about $55 currently with that massive frame lock and the Emerson Wave and that same profile just on a 4-inch supersized scale. And comment below to let me know what designs you prefer when you're thinking about a $50 or less budget on hard use folders. Now, how about the Casio Illuminator with a 10-year battery life? Now, I love Casio watches, and particularly the G-Shock series. I have 3 of those, I believe, currently on tap. But I also have several Illuminators, which is kind of the budget-friendly version of a G-Shock, and those have always held up well. And this one is kind of the most tactical, most like hard use design. Now, they have the Coyote Tan version, but there's also a black with the same clear or white background and black numbers and lettering, or you can get the reverse with a black face and band and then black backdrop with white letters and numbers, so those pop out in that way. So that's pretty cool. I paid $19 for this version. They go between $19 and $30 for depending on the variant. And some things that really stood out to me that I really like is not only just the good durable band and everything that you would know from a Casio and kind of this budget G-Shock, if you will, but also the fact that the bezel is recessed, having a large polymer body protecting the face of the watch. I really appreciate that, particularly again in this idea of hard use, banging up against stuff, construction sites. I was working on putting in tiles and hitting, you know, the suspended ceiling, and I'm not worried about scratching the face as much of this watch, not only because of the price, but also with that added kind of feature there. Good backlighting, which is excellent, and a large face for the numbers and the letters. So you can see the date very easily, you can see the time very easily, particularly if you're trying to get out of a situation, kind of sneak and look. You don't have to guess, particularly as your eyesight, as you get older. Thankfully, my eyesight's holding true. A really cool thing that I like is that there are 10 seconds that kind of bead down the side, and it cycles through that. So if you are needing to track 10 seconds at a time, it's kind of a cool way to do that. I really like that, and I found myself using it a lot. And then you can have obviously your basic stopwatch. You can do military or standard time. You can have 2 separate time zones as well. So if you need to rotate back and forth, you travel a lot, maybe something like that. You don't have to constantly be resetting your watch, which is cool. And then you can have up to 5 separate alarms. So you can set different alarms for different scenarios and things like that, which I thought was just kind of a cool feature. And there are a few other aspects to the design, but overall, that to me is what really kind of set it apart in giving you this big, beefy, overbuilt watch at this budget-friendly price from Casio, and giving me the ability to have some of these extra little features that you don't always get on generic budget watches. Now, what about illumination? What I chose was actually the longest running light in my collection, which is the Streamlight, I always mess it up, so ProTac 1L-1AA, which runs on a CR123 battery or a AA battery, depending on what you want to use and what's available. Now, I think I paid $32 for this when I ordered this one. And for that price or less, you can get a lot of like keychain flashlights that are actually gonna have like an internal USB recharging battery. You're gonna possibly even have like double the lumens, but they're gonna be compact, or they're gonna be polymer, or they're gonna have all these features, and I just haven't used them for as long as something that has this many features and is this durable, and that I've just trusted, because this is actually the second model that I've owned. I bought one of these, I think about 5 years ago, and it just recently stopped activating, and so I'm actually gonna reach out to Streamlight to see if I can get that warranted. But it's been the longest running flashlight, and it has, again, that idea of being versatile but hard use, with a recessed lens and kind of tactile bezel that you could use for impact strikes, possibly even break open a basic non-reinforced car window. It has a recessed button and is definitely designed for more of that defensive flashlight, having 350 lumens if you just tap it, and you can program it because it will also have warning, a strobe, or with 3 taps, if I can get it here fast enough, a low setting as well. And you can reprogram those to be, you could go straight to strobe, or you could go to low, high strobe, or however you want to program it. It has that ability. It has that high strength aluminum body, and then a 2-way deep ride loop over pocket clip, and basically have a makeshift headlamp if necessary, because about 80% of the time I'm wearing a baseball cap. And so for me, even though it doesn't have the highest lumen count that's out there for that price point, or as feature rich as some other designs out there, it's basic. It has a lot of extra strength and options for mounting that some lights don't, and has been the most reliable and trustworthy for me in my experience, and that's why I chose it for this system. So there you go, guys. This has been my 3-week test on these items. Overall, I love the system. I'm not getting rid of any of these, and they'll be integrated in different ways into upcoming EDC videos. And I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on your personal experience with these, maybe other items that I should look into to update my EDC system. And if there are other scenarios that you think I should address in this similar format. I appreciate you guys so much. Check out the other video popping up and subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.